Hi, folks. I'm Chris Smith, professor of musicology and director of the Vernacular Music Center at the Texas Tech University School of Music. And I'm here today to talk in this video lecture about some ways we might think about music from around the world and from different time periods, ways to think comparatively and also empathetically about music, and to recognize both the ways in which its diversity makes it wonderful and the ways in which its functions connect us across boundaries of time and space and language. What do we even mean when we say art music, or classical music, or folk music, or pop music? Are these even useful ways for us to talk about how different music operates, or about who uses it, for what purposes? I'd like to suggest the idea that all music has a function, and that there's no music that does not, because people all around the world and through history have used music for specific purposes and to accomplish specific sorts of tasks. In particular, across many societies, there are certain kinds of life cycle events which are often marked by ceremonies, things like births or birthdays, wedding days or bar mitzvahs, confirmations or quinceañeras, patriotic celebrations, or even more sorrowful events like funerals and memorials. In all of these cases, there are parallels across human societies in the ceremonies which mark the life cycles that all humans experience. And in all human societies and communities, and in all eras, people have used music to help mark those life cycles, to create the rituals that help a community recognize a transition from one moment in life to another, or from one state of mind to another, or one state of being to another. That's equally true when we're speaking of music, whether it's heard in a concert hall or in a bar or at a funeral or at a birthday party. In each of those cases, the music is helping people in that community recognize a moment of sharing. So perhaps it's useful, instead of trying to describe different genres of music by labels or by song titles, or to label one kind of music as high art or another kind as popular art, perhaps we'd rather ask ourselves, what purpose is this music fulfilling in this historical and cultural moment? Can we find parallels between that purpose for one particular music event, between one place and another, or between one time period and another? When we think this way, we begin to find connections that help us recognize music's role in human communities, and we begin to be able to talk in a fashion which is both comparative but also sympathetic, and always full of the spirit of inquiry and the quest for understanding. So in this presentation, I'm going to spend some time talking about a few examples of different sorts of musical functions, and how those musical functions have been performed in different places, at different moments, by different groups of people. Because I think that when we reflect upon musical functions, we find new connections and new insights, especially in the case of musics that are otherwise or previously unfamiliar to us. For example, here's a moment of improvisational music in a worship setting in which human beings are endeavoring to bring the Spirit of God into their worship. Perhaps this style will be familiar to you, but even if it's not, we can probably all agree that the music seems to have a certain purpose and function. And even if we are not members of the community being depicted, we might still be persuaded that the music is effectively fulfilling that function, because people in this video are definitely getting in the spirit. This is the gospel singer Aretha Franklin and the Reverend Jimmy Cleveland at the piano in Los Angeles in 1972 in a concert of African American gospel music. As you listen and watch, please make notes about both sound, that is, the instruments, the voices, the words, the melody types, the rhythm, or anything else you notice about the sound. But also make notes about context, the time and the place and the people from which the music is coming. Who is playing? Who is listening? What is the music doing? And can we begin to understand how the music is doing that?
I feel all right now.
That's Aretha Franklin and the Reverend Jimmy Cleveland in Los Angeles in 1972 in a concert of African American gospel music. Now, there's lots more that we could say about this performance, from instrumentation to singing styles to the ways that Aretha's solo vocals interact with those of the choir, to the ways that movement and hand clapping and other expressions all lend themselves to the intensification of the worship experience, and much more besides. For example, you might have noticed that even though the setting is a church, this event was obviously intended as a concert for TV broadcast. Yet, even though it's a concert rather than a formal worship service, we can see that the music is still having that sacred effect, that it is functioning as it might function in the middle of a gospel church service, and people are still getting the Spirit. Here's another example of the same sort of function for improvisational music, the moment when the music sound is intended to help people feel the spirit of the deity. Now, even if this music is unfamiliar to some of us, we can again agree in our sense that it seems to have a very central purpose and function for the people who are participating. It's important to them. And even if we're not members of this particular community, we can probably see that for those who are members, the music is succeeding in its desired goal of community and a state of religious ecstasy. This is the great Pakistani Qawwali singer called Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan. He is singing a song in the Urdu language about Allah, and the members of his party are singing and clapping along to support both the music and the religious ecstasy that the music is intended to create.
शम्स तबरेज गर खुदा तलबी खुशबू खाला इल्लाहू मस्जूद है माबूद है तू कौनैन का मस्जूद है माबूद है तू और यह तेरी शाहिद है मशहूद है तू तेरी जाहिद है कि मशहूद है तू और एक के लब पर है तेरी हमदो सना हर सोज में हर साज में मौजूद है तू तेरे ही नाम से, तेरे ही नाम से हर इब्तिदा है, तेरे ही नाम तक हर इंतहा है। तेरी हमदो सना अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह कि तू मेरे मोहम्मद का खुदा है। अल्लाह
This music makes use of instruments that come both from North India, namely the drum called the tabla, and also from some Western colonial sources, namely the small bellows-driven keyboard called the harmonium. Qawwali singers perform at the tombs of Sufi saints, and as religious professionals, it's their job to create the environment in which those who are visiting the tombs can experience religious ecstasy and a sense of connection to the deity Allah. Although the sound of this Qawwali music might be quite different from that of Aretha Franklin and the Reverend Jimmy Cleveland in Los Angeles, it's clear that Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan and his party are also engaged in evoking the same kind of sacred music experience. Here's a third example of music and dancing which people have developed over millennia as an expression of their connection to one another and to the natural and unseen worlds. This is music of the Aboriginal peoples of Australia, for whom worship includes singing, dancing, musical instruments, and a sense of the unseen, supernatural, and hidden world called the Dreamtime. You may have heard some of these instruments before, most notably the wooden trumpet called the didgeridoo, and you may again be able to tell that singing and instruments and dance all together contribute to the creation of the sacred experience. These are Indurabala, Ngalmi, Murungun, and Nungagaluk people from southeast Arnhem Land in Australia.
Jama
I hope as you've been listening, you've been making notes about music sound, but also about music context and meaning. How are the sounds being made? What instruments, what melodies, what rhythms? But also, why is the music being made? By whom? What is the time and the place and the context? And who are the people from whom the music is coming? And what does it mean to them? Because I believe that perhaps one of the most important things to remember about any music, even the classical music that you hear on the concert stages of symphony orchestras, or in the corner bar, or in a hip-hop cirque, or at the tomb of a Sufi saint, is music which is functional. That is, music which is intended to perform specific sorts of social work. Perhaps that work is celebration or contemplation, perhaps it's worship or mourning, perhaps it's love songs or dance music. But humans around the world and in every age, going back 40,000 years, have used music and dance as a means of connecting with one another, with the natural world, and with their sense of the sacred. So in that respect, the wonderful diversity of the world's many vernacular music styles is simply a reminder of the wonderful diversity of the world's human communities, and at the same time, a reminder of the things and the values and the experiences that connect us all across that wonderful diversity. I hope you enjoy.